Okay, hello again. You may already know my name is Ali Marshall, Ali Ibrahimov. And in this video, I'm going to walk through my design artifact for the Learn the Money. And this one is still on the GitHub because my main website, learnthemoney.org, it's still under some work. Progress is coming up, I promise. But that is why I still keep updating on my GitHub, and I will make sure to post it on my main website. Okay, so Learn the Money is a public design journal and prototype space focused on financial literacy as confidence building and meaning making experience, not just a set of rules or calculations. Also, if you paid attention from the previous submissions, this time I did change it, and this time I believe it looks much more cooler. And here I will make sure to attach this video that I'm currently recording. So the core idea of the Learn the Money overall is not just for this course, but it started as my portfolio. And the core idea is help learners, especially teacher candidates and adults who have complicated histories with money, move from precisely shame and avoidance toward more confident, reflective decision making. So the primary audience for this artifact is teacher candidates and educators who will eventually support others with money-related learning, but the site is also written so that the interested learner can follow the story and engage with design choices. So let's walk through the landing page. At the top of the website, you see the artifact title and concise mission statement. Together, they make clear that this is design-based research artifact, not a finished curriculum. I want visitors to immediately understand that they are re-entering a space where financial learning, reflection, and prototyping all are visible. Just below, there's a short abstract, roughly about 150 or 200 words, that explains the core problem that this artifact addresses. How many learners feel anxiety, shame, or confusion around the money, and how that affects the ability to participate in financial decision making. And the abstract also summarized the design response, public iterative journal that makes learning process, the theory, and then revisions transparent. That they will learn much more through this website. Okay, so across the top of the site, the navigator intentionally simple and descriptive. You can see the links to journal entries and extended explanations, then design conjectures, design story, presentation that previously submitted, and the research plan. An entry template that shows the structure of individual journal entries that we can see here. And then as well as here, we can see that the design story behind this platform. And here we can also see that there we go. And I also have listed the resources that I have used for this course as well every single time, pretty much under each journal entry. So all of the required components from the course rubric are visible right from this menu, and each section is labeled language that should be clear to any visitor, not only the people in this specific class. I really like this part. I thought I'm going to have a hard time to add it, but it's working. So this one particularly took me a little while to make it happen, to code it on HTML. I know, might be easy for some people. Okay. So let me start with journal entries because this is where the Learn the Money began and where most of the design work is documented. I'm already here. Okay, these are the resources that I also mentioned. It's pretty much the same book. So each entry on the journal entries uses a constant structure so that once a reader understands one entry, they can understand them all. Typically, an entry includes a brief context for the week, what I tried in the prototype or in my thinking, what worked, what didn't work, and how specific readings informed my next steps. The design goal here is to make iteration visible rather than hiding the messy middle. A visitor can clearly see early rough ideas, attentions, such as how to talk about money without reinforcing shame, and specific revisions that followed feedback. The entry is also foregrounded how theory and practice interact. For example, some entries explicitly connect back to readings on design-based research, creative confidence, or the design of everyday experiences, and then show how these ideas shaped concrete changes. Overall, this page invites the visitor to move through the evolving design process and see growth over time rather than being just presented with a polished final product. So next I'll show that extended explanation section. This is more formal, approximately 800 word justification that directly responds to the rubric that we had it. So the first part clearly names the problem and opportunity that many learners and teacher candidates carry hidden financial anxiety and often lack space where they can talk about money in a reflective and no shame way. That makes it harder for them both manage their own finances and support other financial learnings. I am really liking this background, by the way. It makes it super nice. I'm proud of this website. Okay, so the second part defines the target audience more precisely. Right here. I describe who these learners are, what context they are in, and what needs they bring. Things like wanting practical, story-driven examples, needing emotional safety, and more money topics. Then the section explains how Artifact addresses the problem. It argues that public design journal and prototype like Learn the Money can model kind of transparent, reflective money conversations we want learners to have. Instead of presenting polished financial lessons, the site shows how these lessons are designed, critiqued, revised, and grounded in the theory. The modeling is itself a form of instruction. It helps visitors to see financial learning as a space where they can experiment. Here, on the design story, as well as the conjecture, I'll touch a little bit. But on the design story, this page contains the sense described by Parrish. It's written as vivid, learner-centered narrative, focusing on the experience of a person engaging with money learning in this space. The story is not just illustrative, it ties directly to the intended learning outcomes. As you read, you see how a learner moves through the initial discomfort, encounters a prompt activity from Learn the Money, and gradually begins to articulate their financial choice with more confidence and nuances. The narrative places the learner in the present tense inside the experience so readers can imagine themselves in that position. The history supports the rest of the site by embodying the design, is aiming for a shift from passive receipt of financial advice to active and reflecting engagement with one's own money story. So let's talk about, I promise I didn't want to skip this, let's talk about the design conjunctures. And this section represents a high-level design conjuncture and its supporting structure. The high-level conjuncture is that, in this context, a carefully structured public design journal about money, combined with reflective prompts and authentic financial scenarios, will help learners build financial confidence, practice evidence-based decision-making, and see themselves as capable agents in financial conversations. So here we see the embodiments in the concrete tools and materials such as journal entries, prompt stories, and example scenarios. The task structure here, how learners are engaged, for instance, through iterative reflection, small design experiments, and revisiting earlier entries with a more critical lens. And also we see the practical structure, the role learners and teachers can take on, such as reflective designers of their own money, learning rather than just consumer of advice. And here, this discursive practices, the kinds of talk encouraged here: no shame money conversation, justification of choice, and sharing stories rather than hiding them. Meditating process, things like reflection, reframing, and epistemic negotiation, what counts as good financial reasoning. And here also we can see the working design conjectures again, if learner engage in this, if discursive norm is this, so on and so forth. So by showing these connections, the site communicates that Learn the Money is not just a website, it's a material expression of learning theory about how people might grow around money. So you can toggle between a couple overall through the website to see the different parts. And presentation, obviously this one was the calculator that I showed, and I have some more cool updates coming up, but they may not make the deadline of this semester, but I promise they're pretty cool simulations I'm trying to build too. So before I close, I want to briefly highlight some of the key design sessions and how feedback shaped the current prototype. The navigation intentionally is simple, with consistent section labels to keep visitor oriented and reduced cognitive load. By the way, please, and as well as Dr. Squares, please let me know if you like the changes compared to the previous versions versus this version. So again, the reason I intentionally kept it simple is just to have much more easier to read, and especially this part. Ta-da! Okay, so throughout the semester, peer and instructor feedback led to specific revisions. Journal entries were expanded and refined so that narrative of growth is clearer. Visually, consistency across the cards and sections was improved. I also clarified that Artifact is involving prototype, not a finished curriculum, and strength to focus on prototyping and iteration, especially in the later entries. Okay, finally, a research plan. The research plan section outlined the next steps. Those include piloting selected Learn the Money activities with real learners, gathering evidence about why they say and do, what they say and do, and revising both activities and overall design conjecture based on those findings. The goal is to keep the prototype alive as a living design research space, not a static course artifact. So thank you for watching this walkthrough Learn the Money. I designed this site to be a both transparent record of design, research in progress, and prototype that can continue evolve through real world and further studies. And again, the website is actually, this is the website, but I'm still working on the quite updates on that. And the reason I will post the GitHub yet, because as of now, this is the best working prototype that I have, and that upcoming changes, I'm not going to have enough time to make them on this prototype. So I will combine this prototype, and with my new edition, I'm planning to make a super pretty cool website for the Learn the Money. And that is it. Thank you so much.